So Walter, I'm going to turn it back over to you and we'll open it up to question and answer.
Thanks, Dani. I appreciate that. So I kind of want to go into the why. So some of you may be thinking, why use Tapestry? How does this data use? How is it monetized? Is this secure? Is this safe? So if I can, I'll share my screen and just walk through a few. I'm going to take it from you, Dani. There we go. A few ways of how this data is being used. Hopefully you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Dani, all right, awesome. Okay, so here is an example. Every week we do these calls. I try to give just different examples of how this data is being used. So this tweet is by Liz Ann Saunders. I'm not sure you know who she is, but just to kind of give her a background, she's the chief investment strategist at Charles Schwab, a brand that most Americans and most people across the world are familiar with. Here you could clearly see what her tweet's about. She's highlighting our company, which I'm thankful, Complementix, which is now combined with Tapestry under one unit. But you can see what they were trying to look at, looking at the S&P 500 companies, looking at their headquarters specifically. This is October of 2020, really deep in the age of COVID, where many people were saying, big cities are dead and no one's going back to the office. I'm sure you guys all remember that. We don't want to talk too much about COVID. I know it's all in the news right now, but utilizing data, clearly you could see that, there was an increase or a decrease here. And what she's specifically saying is not likely to happen. And how do you understand if people are physically going into the office? One of the best ways to understand that is looking at mobile location data. And currently, most of that data is held by just big, large technology companies that we all know about. And this is not about disparaging them. Many of these companies have built great companies. It's very hard to get to the scale that these companies are. The only challenge is they're not paying us for it. We believe when consumers give up data, they should be compensated for it. And this is an example of how we monetize data with working with large, reputable, respectful companies like this in a very transparent, ethical way. Another example we highlight is looking at big theme parks. So this is Disneyland launching the Galaxy Edge attraction. And when they launch this attraction at Disneyland, the question becomes, did more people go to it, right? When Harry Potter Land opens up or this new theme park in China opens up, did physical people actually go there? And utilizing our data, we were able to show that the launch wasn't so great, right? And you can see here at the bottom that Complementix is the data source behind all of this. We've been doing this for such a long time. So for any of you thinking like, where's the money coming from and do we have buyers? We've been doing this for such a long time. We actually have more buyers excited about Tapestry than our other data set. And the reason being is it's consented, right? You understand that there's a trade-off and you're being paid for it. And many large brands that you all know about that are in Target and Walmart and you're driving their car right now are ecstatic about that. And the last thing I'll show you is what this data looks like. So when we monetize data, let me go full screen. So when we monetize data, the data looks like this. When we see all these apps from our phones, and we see about 400 million devices every single day, it looks like this. So you'll see a device ID, that is the unique identifier for your phone, not to be confused with your IMEI number or a serial number for your phone. It's not what that is. This is an advertising ID. You could see the app that we actually received the data from, Weatherground app, which is a weather app, Forecast, and Wordscapes. You can also see that it's an Apple iPhone, the genders a male, and they're at Whole Foods, right? So if you're one of these apps, literally any weather app or dating app, you understand that they're at a point of interest like Whole Foods or McDonald's or at the airport or in Hawaii or in New Mexico or wherever they're at. You're already understanding that information. And you as the consumer listening to this right now, you're already giving that information away. The distinction is with Tapestry, when you give this information to us, we pay for it and we monetize it on your behalf transparently and anonymously. So when we run this, I'll just run this data set, for example, get this out of the way. There we go. And highlight a couple things. There we go. This is looking at the city of Chicago, what we actually see where we're actually based. And your life and mine kind of looks like this. It's a sporadic, it's a tapestry of sorts of us living our life in a circle. We go to the same places over and over again. dropping off kids, going to the grocery store, going to the gym, going to church, flying, working, staying at home, all of the things that we do every single day, we've been tracking for the last 5+ years and monetizing it. And we believe this information is powerful, and we want to open it up, democratize it, and share it with the world anonymously, right? So it's not me or Dani or Tom or Chuck. It's just how people's life actually looks like in the real world. And eventually you'll be able to see this across the world as well. So I just want to highlight those key points. Like, number one, we've been doing this for such a long time. The distinction is we're going to pay you for it. And we believe that's a big value creator for you, and more importantly, for our affiliates down the line. So with that, let's open it up to Q&A. I welcome your guys' questions. Dani, Chuck, and Tom. Tom, you can help me with Q&A as well. And no question's a silly question, so let's go through it.
Awesome. You know how much I love it when you show what Tapestry truly looks like, what you see on the back end, all those lines and that data, and the fact that it's anonymous. It's just device IDs. That is what you have been monetizing for the last 5 years. And some people are baffled by, like, how come that's valuable? You did an excellent job of explaining it, but me as the individual, I still don't fully comprehend why a big brand would want to know where this device goes.
Yeah, so let's answer that for a second. So you and I, maybe you'll get off this call and go to the grocery store this weekend. Saturday, many people are going to Costco. That's a valuable input, because you as a consumer are choosing to spend your dollars at Costco, and you could go to Sam's. Why didn't you go to Sam's? Why didn't you go to Walmart or Whole Foods or Aldi? And those decision points are valuable because the brand wants to know why you chose to go that direction and how far you drove to get there. And we would have that information at scale, and we've been dealing with this information for such a long time. That's the value add. But to be clear, right now, every Walmart corporate store is looking at all Target stores, and Target is looking at all Walmart and Costco and Lowe's and Menards. And this is just how this ecosystem is set up. And we believe that we'll be one of the largest transparent data sources where we can kind of look at anonymously any store, any point of interest, any airport, and really look at consumer behavior. So that's why it's valuable. Individually, just one consumer, you could say, yeah, my data is not valuable. But when you multiply that over time and with the time scales, it's extremely valuable.
If I can add to that too, over the last 5 years with our work at Complementix, not only have we identified who the buyers are, but we also know what they want. And so it's given us a chance to build Tapestry from the ground up with the idea of creating the most valuable data. And so that way we can go out and hit the ground running. Now, what we do need, and I'm excited to see more than 200 of you on the call today, is we need scale. And so we know the data is going to be great. It's first party. It's all consented. But what we need to do is we need to grow this. And so that's where you guys come in, and we're excited to have you.
I want to say thank you for being patient with us. So this is a pretty typical thing. And anybody who's built apps before understand that you get pre-approvals, approvals, make changes, reapply. It's pretty standard. But the fact that what we do specifically with us being in data and being very transparent, Apple's looking at us a bit more an excruciating way, which is totally fine. We welcome it. And we've made the changes that they recommended. So we'll just wait on their final approval.
Someone told me they have a VPN. This comes up a lot, and it won't work with their phone. Is this true?
So what a VPN, let's break this down for those who aren't familiar with the VPN. So what a VPN does is it basically blocks primarily advertising, and it also can change your location. So if you're based in the United States and you want to watch a show that's only live in the UK, you could change your location to be somewhere in the UK and watch that show. However, with Tapestry, we're basically looking at the hardware of your phone. So when you launch this app and you allow location to run in the background, we'll see that you're in Cincinnati, St. Louis, Los Angeles with GPS data. So it's not necessarily your IP address, which is primarily how VPNs and proxies work. So it will still work. The only thing I would state is, we'll get access to that data, but your VPN will still work in place. So you're happy to use a VPN.
Somebody's asking how much they'll get paid for doing surveys.
So it depends. So with our surveys right now, on a complete, if you're doing surveys in the past, you can start a survey and drop out of a survey. You can start a survey and complete, depending on the length of the survey. If you do a 3-minute survey with us, you can earn about $0.25 per survey, 3-minute surveys. And there will be a lot of those, up to like a longitudinal survey, which could be up to 20 or 30 minutes. So there is what's considered in the survey space, survey fitness, where many people who haven't done them think they can kind of go through a very long survey. And I would recommend sticking with the short surveys and working your way up. But there is a huge earning potential for those who have time and the patience and who have done surveys in the past utilizing Google surveys. There's so many surveys that exist today in the ecosystem, but I recommend them, and it will really boost your earnings as you continue to do surveys within Tapestry.
Can you address how the data is encrypted? What program is used to do that?
Yeah, so encrypted's not really it's a good point. It's not really the right way to think about it, but let me back up. So when you download Tapestry, we get your mobile device ID, which is an advertising ID. It's not Tom, it's not Chuck or Danny or Walter. It's just an ad ID. When we see location data, what we do is we take that device ID, we hash it, we further anonymize that data. So when a buyer gets access to it, they're only getting access to the points of interest, not your common nighttime dwelling, not the apps you use, your browsing information, none of that stuff we even see, nor are we monetizing that data. So the only thing they'll get access to is a random ID being at a point of interest. And that part is further anonymized using a hashing algorithm, if you're familiar with that. And that data is separate and apart from your account, which you create with Tapestry as if you're an affiliate with your name, your email, etc. That is completely separate, two different databases. They do not mix together, which is important. And it's really crucial for us being a transparent company.
Nice. I love this question because you said if I go to Costco on Saturday, and I would never be crazy enough to go to Costco on Saturday. It's too busy for me. But I have somebody asking, if we pick a place in the app, like going to Outback, will it tell us how many phones are operating inside that restaurant, or just the phones running this app for now?
Just the phones running the app for now. Now, we have thought about at length throwing in some of our existing data at Complementix, because then you go to Outback, you'll see a lot of people, right? Because we're in many other apps. But right now, it would just be other Tapestry users that are out at the Outback. But as we scale, obviously, you can imagine seeing a lot of people as well. So
it comes back to Tom's point of scale. We got to.
How big is the app? The app is 50 megabytes, very, very small. So you can download this app without being on Wi-Fi without an issue. This
is a good one. Don asks, will there be a difference between the Android and Apple apps since Apple is asking for more changes?
That's a great question. There is a difference, yes. So the big difference is the notification. So if you're an iOS user, I'm sure you know about Apple's ATT framework, app tracking transparency, which I'm a big fan of. Any app that's trying to track your location or track you outside of their core purpose has to notify you, basically. So what we've been required to do is to tell you and remind you that Tapestry is tracking even when you leave the app. So you download the app, it runs in the background, you're living life as normal. But every couple hours or so, you'll get a silent notification from Tapestry just saying, hey, we're still tracking your location. And that's what Apple wanted us to do. Android did not have that requirement, so it won't be there for Android. That's the big distinction. Besides that, there's no difference. A person asked me, what happens to your information if you quit? Great question. So within the app of Tapestry, you can delete your account. If you delete that account, the data is deleted, right? So essentially, we no longer monetize the data. The data stays with us for analytical purposes, but that data is no longer monetized at all. If you're in Europe or in other parts of the world, we have different rules, but the rules for the United States is no longer monetized, completely not used.
You might have answered this one already. I found the Q&A. Is that do social media companies currently track images?
So if you give them access to your photos, absolutely, and your contacts. Yeah.
So for example, if I'm on Facebook and I share something from my phone to the Tapestry Affiliate Facebook group, because I shared that photo, they're gaining access to that photo or all the photos on my phone?
Not all the photos on your phone. It's really the ones that you allow them to get access to.
Okay. Well, still, that's
they do have like computer vision though, right? So they can look at that image and see exactly what it is and the context.
Well, and that's the thing that like I'm learning more now from being here with you guys is the amount of data that we're giving away and how smart these devices are getting. Voice activation, search, all those different things.
Yep, exactly. Once the app goes live in the US and person downloads and activates the app on their phone, will the app stay active if they travel a lot? Let's say they go from the UK for extended periods of time. Yes, it will, constantly. And that's good data, especially the travel data. So going back and forth from the US to UK, yep, it will run constantly in the background for you. And also, just for the geeky people on the call, obviously let's say you're with AT&T here in the US, and then you jump over to the UK and you're on Virgin or O2 or Orange, we'd notice that change that you switch carriers, which is also an interesting data point. So we track that as well.
Does Complimentics have rooms full of servers that collect data from the code you give to app developers?
It's all in the cloud. Yeah, so we used to have physical servers, but everything's with AWS right now, Amazon Web Services, and the cloud, which is great. So it's very secure, so no one can break into our office in downtown Chicago and take servers. It's all in a virtual place, which is somewhere in the ether. Also, it allows us to scale on the fly. So it auto scales, so we get millions of users just randomly in certain days. It goes up automatically, and we don't have to crash, which many websites have done, including ours in the past. So we understand that. So on the cloud. As affiliates, can we use the Tapestry name with disclaimers? Great question. I'll let Dani speak to this as well. So, obviously Tapestry is a word that we've trademarked and we want to be around for a very, very long time. With any branding, without doing it intentionally, people can put Tapestry around things that are unethical or illegal or just ill looked upon. So we are very careful about using the word Tapestry. So if you have Tapestry in the domain, we advise against that. We do recommend you, if you have a domain and you're interested in buying one, sending it to us, but please don't use the word Tapestry in your domain.
Don't use the word Tapestry in your domain. Don't use the word Tapestry if you're creating a Instagram or a Twitter or a Facebook page or group, your handle, so to speak, in social media. This is a trademark. So we want you to be very careful. We want to protect that brand as well and make sure the messaging is articulating that you are an affiliate. You are not Tapestry corporate. If you do create a social media page or page or group or something like that, and you name it Tap Into Your Data or something, we just want a disclaimer on there because the FTC requires that affiliates show and have a disclaimer on their website if there's any affiliate links in their website or anything like that. So we have guidelines we all have to follow. And those aren't even created by Tapestry. That's the Federal Trade Commission.
See a lot of questions here based on geo. Tom, out of your opinion, Tom does a lot of business development for Tapestry Complimentics. What geos are you pretty excited about?
Well, the initial launch will be in the U.S., which at Complimentics today is our largest market. It's the most mature market in terms of usage of data. So once we establish ourselves in the U.S., the natural progression will be to move to other English-speaking countries. So the UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand are all very easy for us to move into, and also growing in terms of value too. And so that'll be the first, I guess, expansion out of the U.S. that'll make me excited. And then beyond that, we'll consider other countries with different languages following that.
Yep, we're very excited to go to Asia and APAC region, and Africa, Latin America, South America. All those markets are huge for us, especially as these emerging markets get to be even more powerful. They're using tools that we're not even using here in the United States with cashless payment and payment transfer. So we're very excited to go there. But yeah, that's kind of the launch period. Question for you, Dani, will there be any tools available to recruit other affiliates?
There's tons of tools already that we've created to recruit other affiliates. You can get most of those tools, pretty much every single one of them, in the Facebook group. And the goal, guys, just so everybody here knows, the goal is that we house all those in the back office, and the back office becomes your one-stop shop for everything for your Tapestry business. So you don't have to log into Facebook and get into a group. It will all be right there. The marketing tools, the banner ads, all the videos, everything will be in your back office. Right now it's in the Facebook group. It's under the guides tab. And there's a wealth of information and tools that you can go and use to share with affiliates.
Yep.
Walter, this is a good question from Liz. Is there a monthly earnings cap for users that download the app?
There is, right? So we're saying right now the most the consumer in the United States up to $25. Yes, that's kind of the earnings number right now. That number will probably go up over time as we put this data in more hands and monetize it more efficiently. And also the consumer answer surveys. I see a lot of questions for the surveys on here. So if you've done surveys in the past, work with any survey company or use like Google Opinion Rewards, which is a big survey app people use, generally they want to qualify you for a survey. So behind that survey could be Procter & Gamble, who sells diapers and baby detergent and, detergent and toothpaste, et cetera. And they were specifically trying to talk to a certain demographic. So let's say, moms, 18 to 25 or whatever it is. So we would qualify that consumer up front for the survey. And then we would push that device to the specific survey they qualify for. Now, there is a mass amount of what we call Gen Pop surveys, so general population, all ages, all backgrounds, United States. There's a lot of those, so you don't have to worry about that. There's a lot of those surveys, but there'll be a specific surveys for certain demographics. If those consumers choose, they can earn more because they're looking for a certain demographic, which makes a lot of sense. So that will be inside the app, and we're happy to walk you through a demo there as well. Lori Buck, these are great questions. Where's your other question? Can you explain how it will not drain my battery? So right now, Tapestry is taking 1% of my battery. And I run it every single day, always testing it out. It's very, very low. The app's very smart. We understand that, let's say I'm working from home. I've been working from home for the last year. So it's not important for Tapestry to just constantly grab my location at my house. So it's smart enough to understand when Walter moves, let's say 50 meters, back location again. And that's what we're currently doing. So right now it's about 1%. So very, very low. And we're being very smart with that because we understand I'm on an iPhone 11. So not the newest phone, but also not the oldest phone. So if you're on an iPhone 6 or older Pixel or Google phone, we understand that we can't track as much. We don't want to drain your battery. So that's something to take into consideration.
So this is a good question we address on the international video, but I'll ask it here. Curious, when we open internationally, will we earn $1 on non-US users we refer?
You will not. So we'll have a certain economic model for every geo. What we were saying up front, we love all geos. Tom talked about some of his favorite geos. Most of the English-speaking geos in Western Europe, Australia, New Zealand are going to be about the same. Tap a friend, earn a buck. But when we look at other geos where the economics are a bit different, the earnings will be different. And we're also looking about changing, potentially monthly fees there as well, just to make sure that anyone who's working with Tapestry gets return on their investment. That is the crucial part of our business, that it's very easy to understand, it's low cost, and you can see yourself making money with us in the short term. So that's something we're taking consideration, and there's kind of TBD there on what those numbers are going to be, but we're working on it.
Awesome. So this, again, I apologize if you already addressed this question. We've got a lot of things going on the screen here, so I may have missed. Are the surveys so I think what they're asking is you get paid up to $25 a month for your data if you're here in the States. If they fill out more surveys, will they earn more, or is it capped at $25 a month?
And it's capped at $25 a month with surveys right now.
Okay. Surveys and data combination.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. Now that's just for the app, right? So again, if you're even as a free user who never joins our affiliate program, you can make more than $25 easily by sharing it with 26 people or 50 people or whatever it is, and you make $1 per user as long as they stay active. And as an affiliate, obviously, we all know you can earn even more.
Yeah, so I'm just going to address this really quickly. We have support at tapestry.io, but the best way, if you're having an issue with maybe payment or something like that, because we have had a few questions, is to go log into your back office and click on the support center and start a support ticket. That's the best, fastest way to get those things addressed.
And by the way, on that point, we have 2 support people right now kind of doing this close to full time, answering support questions. It also goes to me, it goes to Dani, go to Chuck. So we take your questions seriously, and we try our best to get back to you guys within the 48, 72 hours at the max on response time. What's in the app that's appealing to the younger generation, like 16 years and older? It's funny, we were talking to an influencer company just the other day. He told me an interesting stat. He said that 30% of people under the age of 18 want to be a YouTuber or an influencer as a career, which is interesting. Like that's what they want to be when they grow up, which is cool. I hope they actually become that. But so for them, it's earning potential, right? So, I mean, they were using TikTok, they're using Instagram and Facebook already, and all these photo sharing apps. They can use Tapestry, have it run in the background, share it with their friends, and earn more. So I see a big earning potential for 16-year-olds. And for college students, it's beer money, it's book money, it's, you know, a second job or something like that. Or if you're a gig worker, this is a business that you can really help you because you're already making $3-4 at a time. Just allow Tapestry run in your background, put a QR code in the back of your seat, and you can potentially get drivers to sign up. So there's a whole host of different opportunities, no matter where you're at in your stage of life.
I've got one for you. How
Okay,
will we get paid? Will a 1099 be issued?
If you make more than $600 in the United States, you will get issued a 1099 from us. Under that, you will not. And payout is through Stripe. $100 billion company. They've been working with basically everybody. We like them because they're airing internationally. I understand some people in certain geos on this call, Stripe may not work with your country specifically, and we're working on that to figure out the inroads there. Many companies like Stripe, Square, all of them are also working on a crypto offering. I think about maybe next fall or hopefully beginning of next year, crypto becomes commonplace and everyone has it integrated. Visa and MasterCard are working on a solution there as well. So it will be the standard way for us, but right now it's Stripe, allows you to get paid to your Apple Wallet, Android Wallet, or bank transfer.
And any currency too, correct?
Yes.
Here's one from John. Can you host a survey for us?
Can we host a survey? So meaning them, they have a company that they have a survey they want answered?
That's how I read it, yeah.
Interesting. We definitely could. That is definitely possible. And that's come up, it's a great point, Tom. There are affiliates who are business owners and who are entrepreneurial, and they have something that they want monetized. And I mean, that makes a lot of sense. You're part of the team, you're part of the family. We should talk about that. We're pretty selective of what we allow into our business, but we'd at least like to have a conversation. And depending on that survey, we'd be interested, just depending on what it is. But because of the nature of our business, Gen Pop surveys are the best, right? General populations, it opens the cast the widest net. So that's what I would recommend. Phone and an Android, is there a way to run both? So one user, one account. So you'd have to choose your iPhone or your Android, which is that's the question.
I have an iPhone, but I'm kind of mad at Apple. I think I'd go with the Android.
Exactly. I choose the one with the biggest battery. Is this the only app of its kind? So, you know, this is really one of the only apps that's doing what it's doing. I mean, there's survey apps, there's cashback apps, which I'm sure many of you use, Dosh, Rakuten, Ebates, Swagbucks, Ibotta. You buy something at Target, Bed Bath & Beyond or something, you upload a receipt, you scan your receipt, they pay you 3 to 7% back. That business is pretty well established. There are survey apps, which you've been talking about. But having an app that just run in the background, you don't have to do anything and you get paid for it, it's definitely one of its kind. We're pretty excited to be one of the first out there. I had a question from a potential user who wanted to know if they had for some reason decided to delete the app, would the app still be able to track them? No, it would not.
Won't be able to track you, won't be able to pay you.
That's right. Sorry, any more questions? It's like I just must answer. Is there an advantage for having a couple to both be affiliates? Yes, I think there's definitely an advantage to that. Definitely continue jumping on these calls and support questions or email us. We can highlight the advantages of that. But yeah, husband and wife could definitely both be users. A couple could both be affiliates as well. We're absolutely considering crypto, John, Zara. I think that's your question. That will likely be an offering here pretty soon. And there's no monthly cap on income. So for the cap on earning your data, that's up to 25, but sharing the app, being affiliate, there's no cap there.